Good evening, everyone. It is Monday night, not Sunday night, but anyway, it's the day after we've played a match, so it can only mean it's the last word on the weekend's action, which, of course, is extra time. Extra time is back, and we're going to be talking about Newcastle and Wolves game. Newcastle drawing with Wolves, a goalless draw, which doesn't happen a lot actually in these fixtures. So I was reading a stat that said something along the lines of the last 10 games that we've been playing with Newcastle, each team had scored. So it had to be a goalless draw, didn't we? We have a great little panel tonight. First of all, can I just say thank you, as always, to the wonderful people over at Creation Wolf who power Extra Time's live show. Much appreciated. They're a local company, deliver the industry's and latest and most advanced digital solutions. Take your brand and online presence and digital capabilities to the next level. Creationwolf.com. Link is in the description below this video. It is my anniversary and Emma's anniversary today. So I'm going to try and keep it to an hour. We did go out on Friday, but the day after a match is always really busy for the Always Wolves team. So we weren't going to let you down. We're still here, and we're looking forward to getting you guys involved in the chat, however you're watching. I'm joined tonight by my good friend and pal, the Lord himself, Lord Jason Guy. How you doing, mate?
Living the dream, Dave. Thank you. Yeah, always like coming on the show. Really appreciate you asking me on again. I have missed coming on. Obviously, I've been a bit busy, and I know you've got to get lots of other people on. But every time I come on, I really appreciate it, Dave. So keep up the good work, and thank you for asking me this evening.
Well, we love having you on, Jason, and we always try and get as many different people or different fans' views.
That's important.
But your views are always really good, and you always make everyone laugh. You've already got people saying hello to you as well, which is fantastic. So if you are watching the show tonight, please give it a like, give it a hype, and enjoy the show. Get involved in the chat. We're going to be covering off a lot. I'll cover it in a minute, but I've got a returning guest that loads of you have been asking about for absolutely ages. Where is he? Is he okay? Well, I'll leave it for him to tell you where he's been in a second. But the voice of reason returns tonight. It is Jack. How you doing, mate?
How are you, Dave? How are you, Jason? Okay.
Yeah, mate, it's just really good. I know I've bumped into you a couple of times at games and stuff like that, and it has been quite a while since you've been able to be on. I haven't been able to say too much to the people in the chat because it's for you to say, really, but you probably people will probably be interested. So if you want to just let people know as much as you can on what's happened and what you've had to go through, I'm sure there'll be a lot of love out there for you.
Yeah, do you want me to do it now?
Yeah, it'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to kind of share my what I've been doing the last couple of months. Cut a long story short, I've had skin cancer. So I had a mole removed on my left arm in August, and the results came back early October as melanoma. So since then, I've had to have an excision. So I've had a big chunk of the skin on my arm removed. Luckily, the news has come back good. It's been an all clear. So there's no more cancer. I've got to have a little bit more treatment down the line as a bit of a precaution to potentially stop it returning in the future. But that's kind of where I've been at, really. So I've missed quite a lot of the season, quite a lot of the games, because I've obviously had my arm in a sling and different bits and pieces. So that's kind of made it tricky and stuff. And then we've had all sorts of strange kickoff times, haven't we, which have just not really been useful for me. So, but yeah, no, it's been a journey. I won't lie. And obviously, I think when you hear the word cancer, it's kind of it stops you in your tracks. You kind of like, you're not quite sure how to kind of react. And if I'm being honest, I've probably not even began to process it, to be honest, because I've been so sort of focused on treatment and recovery and everything like that. And I think probably at some point down the line, I'll probably stop and go, what's just happened in the last few months? It's been kind of a real, up and down journey and stuff. But I think if I can kind of give one message out there to people, if I give you two messages, if you do have anything on in terms of moles or anything like that, get them checked. You know, there's nothing wrong with going to the doctor and them saying actually he's just a mole or something like that. They won't think anything of you for doing that, and it might just make a difference. And the second thing I will say is the one thing that's kind of really helped me through everything is just people getting in touch and how are you, how things like that. So if you've got people that you know that you perhaps haven't spoken to for a while or something, reach out and just a hi, how are you, how everything. It does make a real difference to people, because you don't always know what's kind of going on in people's lives, and sometimes just a how are you from people can make a real difference to people. So yeah, so that's probably something that I think we could all do more of, I think.
Well, Jack, I think I'll speak on behalf of everyone, and there's loads of love in the chat for you to say that it's
appreciate that. Yeah,
really great that you're coming through. Jason obviously raises a lot of money for various tranches, including breast cancer now, because he lost his wife to breast cancer. So he will understand full well just how it affects not only the person but the people around you. And having myself being someone that's in long-term remission now from leukemia myself, I can only echo these things. Men are sometimes guilty of, oh, I'll be okay, and not going. You know, it's all very, very important. Like you say, if there's anything in your mind, the best thing to do is go and get checked out. I'm glad I did when I was having my symptoms with my leukemia, and they sorted that out. You did that, and I know Jason will probably be able to speak from the other side from his experience. Jason.
Absolutely. I mean, I want to tell a little story that Neil Razorwood always says, and it's really true. So if our car's knackered and we're driving along and it's pulling to one side, what do? We go to the garage and sort it out. But when we've got a bit of a problem ourselves, or we think we might have a problem, we don't do anything about it, because we think, well, we can't go on the piss the weekend. We can't go to the match. We're going to have time off work. It's an inconvenience. It'll go away. So anything, however small you think it is, always go and get it checked out. And Jack, you've done the right thing massively. And the good news is, obviously, you know, it's been caught. It's obviously going to be a positive outcome. So yeah, guys, just however small, insignificant it feels, always go to the doctors, even if it just puts your mind at rest. But if there is an issue, it can get dealt with quickly. So well done, Jack, for doing that, and brave man for telling your story.
Absolutely. And like I say, there's loads of people saying, yeah, we all need to go for an MOT. So like, I know this is like Wolves chat and everything like that, but there are so many things that are so much more important than football. And when it hits you, you know, so if there is something on your mind or that you're worried about, go to the doctors, even if it's just for peace of mind, like what Jack says. You know, they'd rather you go and check it out and be saying it's not a problem, but like the majority of the time, that's what it's going to be. But the time that it isn't, Jack, as you well know, it could save a life, couldn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Bless you.
That's really the message, isn't it? Like you say, you know, that's what they're there for. They're there to reassure you, if nothing else, and you can go and see, you know, and they'll say, yeah, nothing to worry about. But and I'll thank you for coming as well, because like Jason says, it's absolutely the right thing to do. You know, we always need to kind of look after ourselves a little bit more, don't we? I think we always, like Jason says, push through, and it'll be okay, it'll disappear. You know, I've got commitments, I've got family, work, whatever, you know, but yeah, you know, your health is the top priority, the absolute top priority. You know, so if there is anything that you're thinking, I'm not sure about this doesn't feel right, this isn't normal, go and get an appointment and get it checked out.
Absolutely.
100%, Jack. And anyway, mate, look, you know, it's great to have you with us. Also, just want to say, like, a few people have been asking about Sutty. He's not been very well recently either. He's been poorly, dealing with some illness that he's getting through. And you know, just like again, it doesn't matter how thingy, you just get yourself sorted as well. So we send our love to him as well. He was on his way to, hopefully on his road to recovery as well. And anyone else out there that's been not feeling too good, I hope that you know, you're on your way to recovery. And if not, just have positive thoughts. What we're going to get onto the game. We have got 3 video contributions that I'm going to play first, and then we're going to talk to Jack and Jason and you guys in the chat in regards to the game, the things learned. We'll be talking about the January transfer window. We'll be talking about the FA Cup draw against Grimsby. We were looking ahead to City, and of course, we'll be talking about Rob Edwards, the unbeaten start to 2026, and we'll have your Q&A as well, all packed into a nice 60-minute sandwich, we hope. But first of all, let's hear from the Wolfman himself.
Hey Dave, Wolfman Jeff here in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Just briefly about today's match. 0-0. Some ways it feels frustrating, but in some ways it feels satisfying. The satisfying part is the fact that we've stopped leaking goals, and there was some part of the performance that was quite well done. Frustrating part is a lack of finishing, and we had some chances. Going to get better at creating chances, and more importantly, we got to be able to get better at finishing the chances. So I think all in all, I'm quite pleased because we are getting better. Still don't think we're going to be able to get through the season. I mean, it still will take a miracle, but we're still undefeated in 2026, so you can't complain too much. Let me see. Performances, I was impressed with Saw, especially he had a couple of really good saves there. And I think Hugo Bueno was a standout. I just got to work a little bit more on his corners. But he did really well on moving up the field. Chichawa is doing a little better, taking advantage of the speed, but he's still got to get it, just to take it to the next level. Mane had a really good chance given to him by Strand Larson, which I was impressed that Strand Larson decided to pass to him rather than just take it himself. And I think that would have been our best chance, but it just kind of flopped from there. So onward, upward, we're still undefeated. So there's that. Newcastle is a really good side. And we made them look like not a great side. They were okay, but they didn't look as good of a side as they normally look. So I guess there's that to take away, but we still have a lot of work to do. And so let's see what happens with the next match. 3 points would have been what we needed, but 1 point is better than no points. So always Wolves.
This is Chris from Eidsvoll in Norway, speaking after the 0-0 draw against Newcastle. Not a massive amount to say after that game. And honestly, if you are neutral, it probably wasn't a great game to watch. However, for me, I'm just looking for signs of improvement after everything we've been through. And they are there. We're at least competing. I think many of us said some time ago, and I was included in that, but look, I just wanted to see effort, commitment, and be able to compete. Now, we are seeing that now. We are seeing that there is a plan, there are tactics, that shape is very much better. It's going to come too late, unfortunately. But you have to say there has been significant improvement in the last few weeks. There's no doubt about it. And it's all we can hope for. What people have to understand is it's going to take quite a long time to recover from a disaster of what Vitor, Teti and Jeff Shee did to us. It doesn't happen overnight, but we are at least making progress. A couple of good performances. I thought Mosquera, man of the match for me, was everywhere. Love to see his heat map. If anything, I thought today that we conceded a bit of territory when João Gomez went off. He didn't seem to be injured. I didn't really see the reason for it. I would have kept it as it was. I thought we conceded a lot of territory there. That was potentially a mistake. Look, we know what this season is now. It's just seeing it through and not being below Derby's points record. We're another step to that at least. Not much to get excited about, but it's something, at least.
Hey Dave, David Neil Halls coming to you from lovely, warm and sunny Aruba. And it's snowing at home, so I'm feeling rather smug with myself right now. Brilliant performance against Newcastle. I think we were absolutely full value for at least a point there. I think everybody played phenomenally well. Andre and João Gomez, I don't know that I've seen them play a better game together. Tolu was a good hold-up man. I mean, everybody. I don't want to list them because I'm going to forget somebody. I thought everybody played really well. We were really tight on Newcastle, defended pretty solidly. Maybe just missed a little bit of spark up front, unfortunately. But, what is that? I think it's 5 games unbeaten now, right? Including the FA Cup. So another point on the board. Sadly, I think we dug such a big hole for ourselves first part of the season that we need to make these matches, and like the Everton match, they need to be wins if there's any chance at all of staying up, which I really don't think there is realistically. But I think the first objective is to get more than 11 points. And based on today, I think that's not going to be a problem. So really proud of the lads, really good performance, proud of the crowd, getting behind the team, and I think everybody had a really good game. So you can't really complain. And it's our first 0-0 against Newcastle since 1898 apparently. And we got a picture on NBC at the halftime show from our Midwest Wolves meetup in whenever that was, October I think. So that was great. We're world famous, are we? Anyway, that's all I've got to say really. Great performance, solid point against a top team in Newcastle. Could have been more, but I think Newcastle had some good chances as well, so I don't think we can complain too much about a point. So let's keep it going, keep playing like that, and results will come, points will come, and we'll see where we end up. And worst case, we build some momentum for next season in the Championship, which is probably where we're going to be. But hey, if we keep playing like that, who knows? That's why you play the games. So up the Wolves. Talk to you soon.
Fantastic. Thanks for the contributions. Of course, the link is in the description below if you want to get on and ring in and make a couple of minutes points. Jack, if you don't mind, Jason, I'm going to go to Jack first because obviously people have waited to hear a long time from Jack. I just want to first of all cover off, Jack, how you feeling as a fan on the season as a whole, and since Rob Edwards come in. What can you take out of that? And is any of that you could see in the game against Newcastle, yesterday? Because obviously we haven't had you for a long time to talk about things. So it'd be interesting to give to hear your overview on things, if you don't mind.
Yeah, it's been disappointing. I mean, to put it mildly, I think we've obviously, to be 18 games in and only have 2 points, you're not going to stay up. That's the reality of it, because you've given away half a season on everybody else then, barring a game, so we've given ourselves far too much to do. So I've kind of, since sort of mid-November time, I've kind of been looking at the final whistle away at Burnley in May on the last day of the season. And I'm kind of thinking, right, when we get to that point, when that whistle goes, and whether we finish bottom or 19th or whatever it is, whether we've got 15 points, 20 points, 25 points, whatever, I want to be coming out of Turf Moor feeling optimistic and reassured about what's to come next year. Because we know from bitter experience as Wolves fans, if you go into the Championship in disarray or in disorganisation or in a bit of chaos, a bit of instability, that league will eat you alive. We saw that under, in 2013 when we went double dipped.
Yeah.
So, we have to kind of get ourselves between now and then some really solid building blocks in place to make sure that as a whole football club, not just the players and the staff, but as a fan base and everyone that's connected, ticket office staff, retail staff, everyone that's kind of wears that badge in some form or another, is together and collected and united, ready for the challenge of next year. So and that's kind of where I'm at now. I've kind of not given up on staying up, but I'm kind of realistic enough to know that it's probably not going to happen. So what we've got to do now is kind of keep building slowly but surely, week by week, so that we're in a position where when the season finishes and we are where we are, we're not sort of head in hands and we're not sort of, really, really disappointed. We can actually kind of go, do you know what? This season's been absolutely awful, but next year will be better because of this, and this. And so therefore there's a little bit of optimism and a little bit of fight within the fan base that we can kind of bounce back, which is what we'll need to do, because we've seen again from experience that if you don't bounce back quickly, i.e. first year, you can end up getting stuck in that league for a long time. And that would be the biggest concern. And certainly sort of around the time of the change of manager from Vitor to Rob Edwards, my big concern was that was what was going to happen. We were just going to finish the season on about 8 points and, tank in the championship. Because if you look at last year, the 3 teams that went down last year, Ipswich, Leicester, Southampton, they stunk the league out last year. Let's be brutally honest. They won about 10 games between them. And they're only just now starting to get over that hangover from relegation. Ipswich have kind of kicked on in the last month, 2 months. Southampton changed manager again. Leicester's manager seems to be clinging on for dear life every time they lose, more and more pressure, and then they pull a win out somewhere. But then, so it's one of those where, momentum is absolutely key. And if you go down, but with a little bit of momentum and a little bit of spirit and a little bit of something, you might be all right. If you don't have that, you're in absolute real trouble. And I think the thing to kind of go back to what you were saying about the performances recently under Rob Edwards, you can see that there's a togetherness and there's a spirit and there's a organisation and there's a structure in place, and it's starting to kind of come through. I think that's partly coming from Rob, and I also think it's coming from Rui Silva that's coming in.
Yeah, I think Rui Silva was a very smart addition to the to his coaching staff.
Yeah, but I think certainly, and again, talking to people before the game yesterday, I think we're starting as fans to kind of actually enjoy going to games again. It's not a chore. It's not I'm only going because I've already paid for my ticket. So I think people are kind of going, do you know what? We might do something today. And listen, Newcastle are a very good team. Someone said to me before the game, oh, it's a good time to play, and they got loads of injuries. And then I looked at their starting lineup and I thought, that's still a very strong team. If they've got injuries, then I don't necessarily see where that weakness is, because that's still a very, very good team. And we matched them. Okay, they probably weren't at their, absolute best, and they're in the middle of a busy time. But we matched them, like we said, and I thought we were really good value for the point. Probably, if we were in a better year, we might have found a little bit more to kind of push and try and win it. In the last sort of 20 minutes, I think we kind of settled for the point sort of with 20 minutes to go, didn't we? We sort of sat a little bit deeper and went, do you know what? You ain't broke us down yet. I don't think you will in the last 20 minutes. So we'll just sit and we'll keep what we've got. And we managed to do that.
The first shot on target, and I think both of them came in 5 seconds, where the in the 85th minute, the save from Sarr, and then the header that he saved straight after. I think that they were their only 2 shots on target, and that was in the space of 3 seconds in that one attack.
Yeah. So they had a lot of possession second half and a lot of territory, but they weren't sort of hammering the door down to score. Where they saw wasn't making lots and lots of saves. They weren't sort of flashing the ball across the box very often. It was kind of, we were very, very good at keeping them where we wanted them to be. I thought our whole back 3 were fantastic yesterday. The two wing backs had good games as well, which obviously helps. I mean, we going back to kind of the overview of the season, I think the fact that we've had to chop and change the back 4, back 5, goalkeeper so often really hasn't helped. I mean, we went from Sarr to Johnson to Sarr to Johnson to Sarr. Then Agbadu was in, then Totti, then they were both out. Then Krejci and Bueno played as a 2. Then Mosquera came in as a 3. Jackson's played, Rodrigo's played, Doherty's played, Hoover's played on the right.
Wolf.
Hugo Bueno and Wolf have chopped and changed. There's just been no settled defensive unit at all. And if you're going to, again, that doesn't help things at all. If you've got a solid defence, then they all know each other, they play every week together, that does make a difference. And I think we've just started to see now, I think in the last sort of 3-4 league games, we've kind of had that settled back 5, Chachua, Santi, Krejci, Mosquera, Hugo Bueno. They've all played and Sarr behind. And it's starting to, you can see 2 clean sheets as well, which is good. And I think you can just sort of start to see they're just getting used to each other, knowing each other's strengths and weaknesses. I think when Mosquera does those great 60-yard runs down the middle of the pitch, I think people know he's going to do it, and so they can cover and they can sit in and kind of go, he's going to go here, so I'll just tuck in here, and then if he does get caught up the pitch, we're not going to get done on the break. And I think you can start to see those relationships developing within that defensive unit. And certainly we've been a lot harder to break down in the last sort of month or so, because we were leaking goals for fun, and it was stupid goals as well, wasn't it? Goals where you look and go, no other team in the league will concede that goal. That is ridiculous defending. But we've kind of cut that out to an absolute minimum now as well. So I think there are lots of really, small shoots of green that you can kind of start to see coming through. I don't want to sit here and say, oh, we're on the way back. We're doing it, because we're not. We're still bottom of the league and we're still, not doing great. But there are things you can kind of be, positive about.
Mate, I think you summed that up really, really well. It was a great overview. Jason, I'm going to go to you now. Obviously, you know Rob, going back. I don't know if he's texted you recently. I know you had a text off him when you sent him a message when he first come in. It's been a tough time. He's come into a real mess. I think what Rob said in his press conferences, in his post-match, the performances have kind of been there. That we haven't quite got the results and the points. Been unlucky a few times. Now he says we're starting to pick up the points as well. Obviously, we're 16 games to go, 8 points, 15 points from safety. But are you starting to see an identity? Like what Jack says, starting to think about, instead of going to the game, it's like, actually going to the game and having a little bit of joy going to the game as well. What are you seeing? What are you taking out of these performances? What did you take out of yesterday?
Absolutely. Well, I'll be honest. Yes, I did text Rob the other day, and he obviously always texts back. And listen, I don't go on the beer with him, but I've known Rob for a long time. And I'll tell you something, we're not going to find anyone as committed as Rob. And yes, he wasn't everyone's first choice. I've championed him from day one. He wasn't everyone's first choice. But you can see now, if he's been given obviously a little bit of time. What was annoying me was in the media, it was showing all the L's, and half of them were pariahs. Oh, he still hasn't won a game, X amount of games in. That wasn't down to him. He'd picked up a baby that was screaming that obviously no one could get a tune out of. Everyone was low on confidence, and he's turned it round. More than anything, we have got some belief. We've got some resilience in the team. Definitely, we look more organised and structured. There's confidence, which we haven't had all season. One of the biggest problems, regardless of whether this squad's capable of doing anything, if they've got no confidence, they're not going to get anywhere. And there is now confidence. So listen, we're 8 points in now, 3 points off Derby's record. A few games ago, I was really concerned about that, but listen, not at all now. Against Newcastle, it's easy to say, there was people saying we could have won the game. Newcastle are a good side. We'd have took 0-0 at home to Newcastle at the start of the season. We'd have took that point. So there's no reason why we shouldn't take it now. What we have got to bear in mind, though, guys, is, yes, we're 5 games unbeaten. We've just thrashed Shrewsbury in the FA Cup. We've drew at home to Newcastle. We've had some good results. We've beat West Ham 3-0. Then all of a sudden, the pressure goes off Fosun. Now, the reason we're in this mess, the reason we are where we are in the table is down to Fosun. So the worrying thing is for next season for me, Dave, it's the hope that's going to kill us when we get relegated, because we've only got to look at the table now, the points on offer, the games we've got coming up. When we get relegated, we've got to hope that Fosun don't think we've got this God-given right to come straight back up. Yeah? Now, Fosun, the last few seasons, have been happy with 16th, 17th position. If we go into the Championship with the same, we're not going to have to chuck much at it, this team's going to be too good for the Championship, listen, we're going to be in for a rude awakening. It's so important now that the sales are done in a timely manner, we can invest properly, and we are in a position to build for next season. Players I'd keep, and I've made a few notes of players I'd keep.
Yeah, I'd be interested to hear what you've got to say on that, yeah.
I was going to say, look, he's been a revelation last few games. He's Mane. Now, make no mistake about it. If he continues in this rich vein of forms, there's going to be some big bids coming in for him in the summer, on the basis that obviously getting relegated, he's going to be promised the earth. So I really hope we can keep on to him. I think another player who's obviously out at the minute on loan at Birmingham, who will be pivotal for us next season.
Doyle.
Is Tommy Doyle. Now, I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Dave, I don't believe there's a recall option on him this season, which... Is that right, Dave?
I can kind of say, and I can only say from speaking to him, because obviously, I know Tommy and speak occasionally. I don't think there's a recall option in it. If Tommy wasn't happy with where he was at Birmingham, he could opt, if there's other clubs that came in with offers, including Wolves, he could opt to then go back. But for a long time, he wasn't getting picked for Birmingham starting 11. He was sitting on the bench. So I think he probably was a bit of frustration, but now he's playing every game. I don't see that Tommy's going to be coming back whilst this season's on. But obviously, the other thing is, if Birmingham go up, they can trigger, from what I understand, trigger a clause to buy him for about 10 million if they go up. If not, he then returns to Wolves, doesn't he? Yeah. I think he's a Rob Edwards type of player, and I think
absolutely. And listen, my only criticisms of Gomez and Andre, and I've said this time and time again, is they are very similar as players. They are effectively the same player. They're both holding defensive midfielders. We see a little bit more out of Gomez going forward than we do out of Andre. And they're two players I'd definitely cash in on, because they're not going to want to play in the Championship. They're going to want moves away, so I'd cash in on them ASAP. And the same goes for Strand Larsen. And then the players that I've just made a few notes for next season, players like Santiago and Hugo Bueno, I'd like to think we can keep both of those players. Krejci as well. I think Krejci's been absolutely brilliant.
Well, apparently, Jason, because of how he's saying his loan turns permanent.
Loan. Yeah.
His loan turns permanent. That doesn't mean we won't sell him, but he becomes a permanent transfer in the contract.
And these are players, Mosquera as well. I think Mosquera has been very good. To Jack's point, the defence has looked solid. There's one, solid. The defence has looked better. There's one player who, I'll be completely honest, I have criticised week in, week out, and that's Tuchua. And I think yesterday he probably had his best game in a Wolves shirt. I think he looked good going forward. We know he's good going forward. We know he's quick. Sometimes he's a bit wasteful in possession. Sometimes his crossing is quite erratic, and his defending hasn't been up to scratch. Hence the reason we're in the position we're in, not just down to him, but the defence as a whole. But last game, I thought that was his best game in a Wolves shirt. However, it doesn't really do it for me. So I think out the two, I'd go for Tuchua. But then Lima's back, and it's good to see Lima, obviously. He played the other night, and once again, Lima looks a good player. Out of all of them, I would probably favour Pedro Lima. I'd like to see him get more game time this season. But like I said, guys, the pressure's gone off Houghton a bit now, because the results have been more positive. The performances have been more positive. But we've got to remember, they're still accountable. They've still got a lot to answer for. There's still a long way to go this season. I don't think we're going to stop up. But equally, when you see the performance that we give the weekend, and you see us going down with a fight, I think that's all we want. Wolves fans aren't scared of going into the Championship. You know, I've spent bloody 3/4 of my adult life supporting Wolves in the Championship, so I have not got a problem with that at all. The new breed of fans, the younger fans, won't want to see it. And ultimately, from a balance sheet point of view, nor the club, but listen, it's on Fosun's head still. So, another player that impressed me the weekend, Jose Sa, I thought he played really well in terms of, he's had to come back into the team under difficult circumstances, and he made that great double save. Mane as well, with that shot he had on the turn. There's not many players who can do that. Caught it on the chest, bang, hit it when it was still in the air as well. Obviously, difficult skill to master, but he's a really, really special player. So overall, for me, I thought it was a good performance. Definitely can't underestimate Newcastle, and I think it was a well-earned point.
Well, I think there's obviously been a lot of changes since everything happened. Obviously, we've had change of sporting director. Matt Jackson's now in, obviously, over that and over the recruitment. Obviously, change of chairman. We've had a change of manager. There's a lot of things, but obviously, I don't think we'll really see exactly how all that's going to play out, as you say, Jason, until we really get to the end of the season, the summer, and what happens over that period. I do think things are obviously starting to happen, because, as you probably know, we're very restricted on homegrown players because we're right at the limit of the international players. Well, obviously, two of, it looks like who went out? Who's the person that's gone out already?
Manetzi.
Manetzi's gone out on loan. And then there's obviously Agbadou that's looking like something might happen there with Besiktas. Pedro Lima, as you quite rightly came back from his loan spell at Porto B, and I think that's the reason why they've let Hoover go out on loan to Sheffield United, because Pedro Lima, because he's had 2 clubs, can't go out on loan anywhere else. So it'd be interesting to see him getting some game time. I think the points that Jack made about the back 5 are really important. We struggled all season with getting a settled back line. I love Krejci. I think he's a real talented footballer. Yerson Mosquera, he's got a bit of the dark arts about him. I just love him. And when he goes on his runs, he's a defender, but that run, he gets you off your seat, and he's a skillful player. Mosquera is very athletic. And Santiago Bueno, he's coming of age as well. I mean, he's a Uruguayan centre-back, so he's a decent team. The problem that we had obviously, we lost both of our wing-backs in the summer with Aït-Nouri and Semedo. Yep. And only just now we're starting to see Hugo Bueno that's starting to look like a real accomplished Premier League wing-back. He's a young lad, and he's starting to look the part. And for me, I gave him man of the match yesterday. Jackson, he frustrates the hell out of all of us because he's got so much pace. And, if he goes past someone, he gets a corner because they block it, or he can get a cross in. But I thought, again, he had his best game defensively in a Wolves shirt. He was everywhere. He used his pace really well at the back. And I think he's starting to adjust it. If he can keep that defensive awareness up and his positioning, a bit Jack, a little bit like Semedo when he came in, he struggled a little bit from Barcelona in his first year, and then he can add that offensively going forward. Like you say, Jason, I think he could be a complete wing back, but he does need to know when to go and when to think, and that's something I think like Semedo eventually nailed. And we lost those wing backs, and Wolves play with wing backs, and that's caused us so much problems. And I think this is why you're seeing Rob Edwards now playing with a much more consistent team. And they're obviously being drilled, and he's trying to keep a very similar formation. So, Jack, I want to come back to you. You've heard about Jason's thoughts on like who to keep. I personally, Andre and Gomez, I wouldn't like to see them sold this window. I can understand what Jason's saying, because maybe you can get a little bit more money or something like that. But like, if we lose one or both of them, it's kind of like surrendering the season, and we need to finish the season strong. And they're going to be wanted in the summer anyway. And Wolves could, Robert, it's been confirmed that there are no clauses in anyone's contracts when they go down that they can have a buyout. Wolves can demand whatever price that they want. There is, in all the contracts, there is a reduction in salary. Of course, players will go. But like, for me, I want to end the season as strong as possible. So we do need to let some go, because Rob wants to freshen it up. And I'm sure there'll be people probably will come in, whether that's on loan or not. Rob and the recruitment team will be looking at that. But for you, who would you really want to build this team around for next year? Who's key for you to stay? That you definitely want to agree with Mane, because he is a talisman. He's only 18. Chelsea apparently want him for their youth team or something like this. He's only 18. I know that there'll be a lot of teams that want him, like Man City, and Chelsea accumulate young players, like they're collecting stamps to put them in their book. But for his development, really, he's still only 18. A year in the Championship wouldn't hurt him anyway. I don't think. But I think he needs to be told that they're going to build a team around him, I think.
Yeah.
Carry on. Yeah.
I was going to say, Jason wanted to jump in then.
I was just going to say, absolutely, a season in the Championship at this age, it's not like he's 28 at the peak of his career.
Look at Neves.
Absolutely. So I don't think it's a bad thing. I think if he's doing this in the Premier League, it's frightening what he can do in the Championship as a young striker. So 100% we've got to build the team around Mane. Go on, Jack, sorry.
No, I completely agree. And I think actually the irony would be if a Chelsea or a Liverpool tried to sign him in the summer from us, they'd then probably be looking to loan him in the Championship next year anyway. So he might as well stay with us for that year of his development and somewhere where he's settled and he's loved and he's appreciated. And I think, you know, knowing what I do about Rob Edwards, I think he's ideal for someone to develop that talent and nurture that player through to the level that he can really, really get to. The Championship is a tough league, so you need, you know, hardened professionals to play in it. And so I think that current back three would be great in the Championship. I really
amazing.
do. I think there's a really nice balance of, you know, you've got the athleticism of Mosquera, you've got the, you know, the calmness of Krejci, and then you've got the way that Santi just reads the game really, really well. I think they've got a lot of bases covered there. Mane, obviously, we've just talked about. The player I'd really like to see us, you know, try and keep is Tolu. Because I think in the Championship, I think he'd be absolutely ideal. You know, the Championship football I watch on the television and bits and pieces, it's a physical league. He's got that. You know, the centre halves love to kind of knock up against you, and I think he'd deal with that in his sleep. And then he's obviously proved at times this year. He's got a lovely finish in him in the cup games. He's scored a couple of really nice goals, and he wins a lot in the air and brings people into play. So I think he'd be one that in the Championship, I think would thrive and be a real asset. And then a player that's kind of completely gone off the radar because he's been injured is Bellegarde. Yeah. And I think Bellegarde, if he was playing where Wang is now, in that sort of just behind Tolu and with Mane, I think would be a much more creative attacking team, because I think Bellegarde's got that natural instinct just to kind of look where the two posts are and head for the middle of those and just kind of drag defenders in and pull people around. Wang's a bit more of a sort of, you know, I'll hold the ball and I'll have a look around and see who I can play an easy pass to. Whereas I think Bellegarde is a bit more direct. And so, you know, if you could, you know, hypothetically keep Tolu, Mane and Bellegarde as a three in the Championship, plus that back three we've just talked about, I think that's really, really strong for that level of football. And so you're suddenly thinking, well, and you put Tommy Doyle in, for example, or Boubacar Traore comes back, and then Hugo Bueno stays, or,
as well. Yeah,
you know, Lima comes on and develops on the right hand side, and then, you know, obviously the goalkeeper situation will probably be resolved as well, because they won't all stay, and we might bring someone in. But you're suddenly looking and thinking, well, actually, there's the makings of something there. And the other thing you've got to think about as well, and I know we're talking about people, you know, Andre Gomez will attract attention, Larson will. But as Jason said earlier, we've got 8 points from 22 games. So I don't see a massive queue round the door of people trying to sign our players, because they'll be looking and thinking, well, they ain't good enough for the Premier League. They've proved that this season with Wolves. So it might be that actually we probably keep a few more players than we're perhaps expecting. You know, I think there's one or two people thinking it's going to be a complete clear out and everyone's going to go and we're going to have to build from scratch. I don't necessarily see it like that. I think there'll be quite a few of these current players will stay in the Championship, partly because I don't think there'll be the offers for them at the value that we want. And I think, like Jason said, we're not in a position where we have to necessarily sell or just take any offer that comes. If someone tries to lowball us or whatever, we can turn it down and say, well, actually, no, you're going to stay. You got us into this mess. You got us relegated. You can stay and get us promoted again. And I think that there's an element of that that's going to be in play as well.
Yeah,
I think that you make another one that's not been mentioned, Rodrigo Gomez in the Championship as well.
Well, I was going to say that because, sorry to interject, Dave, I was just going to say that this is a player that owes us something as well, because he's had a couple of injuries and we've stood by him. And when he's been in a Wolves shirt, to be fair, he's shown he can be a real good player. So players like that who will probably have an absolute ball in the Championship, you know, a quick, direct, young, youthful player like that, it wouldn't be a bad thing.
No, I think this is all going to pan out. Obviously, we've got a couple of weeks left of the January transfer. I know people are frustrated where's the signings, but there ain't a lot of signings anywhere, to be honest.
No.
Across it. And January I know it's the old one. It's a difficult month, but for us this year, more than any year, because of the situation we're in, it is a really difficult balancing act. I think everyone's about. I would be surprised if Larson's still here at the end of the window, though, Jack. And I think most people, if Larson goes, they're not going to cry too much about it at this point in time. I'd expect us to bring in a backup striker for Tolu, Jack and Jason. I think there's about 5 or 6 clubs interested in Larson. And I think Wolves want at least that 40 million, don't they? So I'll be surprised if he's still here at the end of the January window. What do you think?
I did see, sorry, I don't know if it was obviously paper talk, but there was a couple of Leeds players and some money for Strand Larsen. And one of the players that got mentioned is a player I know all about, a player called Willie Nonto. Now, he's already an Italian international, started his career in Switzerland. He's come to the Premier League and he's actually done well for Leeds. He's played in the Championship as well. And he's only small, but he's a good, solid player. He's not really a Strand Larsen type centre forward, but he's more of a winger. But he's a very good player. So if we can do a deal where we can get players in return as well, I think that'd be good, because are we really going to get 40 million for Larsen? Although they can hold out for it, we should have took the money when we got offered the reported 65 million.
You say, Jason, you say we should have, but hindsight's a great thing. Had we have sold at that time, after he just had a 14-goal season and he was the main man and everyone was talking about him, there would have been a meltdown on it at the time. And looking back now, obviously, with hindsight,
there might have been a meltdown, but that is £65 million. That would have been arguably our record. What did we sell Cunha for?
40, was it 48 or something like that?
It would have been our record sale for 65 million quid.
It was about that 60 odd, wasn't it?
60 odd, wasn't it?
Yeah. So it would have been, around about our record deal. So £65 million is a lot of money. And the risk is when you turn that sort of money down, and they go on a bit of a gold route, all of a sudden, it goes down considerably. Listen, I think Larsen's been a good player. I think he's still, opinion,
Jason? Jack, has Jason gone a bit frozen there?
Am I back,
Jason? Yeah, you're back. Yeah, that's better. Sorry, what were you saying, Jason?
With Strand Larsen, I think he gets a little bit of unfair criticism, in my opinion. I do still think he's a very good player. I think his positioning is very good. I know he was only playing Shrewsbury. He knows where the net is. And listen, I know this team is pretty much bottom of League Two, but there is still a player there. But I think
doubt. Well, there won't be that many teams interested in him. I think we can see that. If he gets the service, he can finish. But if you see what Tolu does, maybe he's a different type of person, but Tolu is like what Jack says. He's so strong. He wins play in the ball. He causes a lot.
I think part of that is he's got more to prove than Strand Larsen. Tolu's still trying to make his way into the team as a regular, and he wants to impress. I think since Strand Larsen's had his head turned by Newcastle and these big gigs, I don't think his heart's at Wolves.
Yeah, and obviously the PSV are apparently interested in Wang Hee-chan as well. Look, obviously the January transfer window will run. It'll be interesting to see how it pans out. I think we're going to find out a lot more when we get to the summer where we're really at. But hopefully there's plans afoot and a lot better structure. And I know there's a fans advisory board meeting coming up for you soon, Jack. Jason, as you know, there's that meeting with all the fan groups that's coming up where we're going to finally meet Nathan Shee. The trust have got a meeting with him as well. So there is communication going on. And we'll find out a lot. We'll be asking all the tough questions and hopefully getting more of an idea of what the plan is from all of those as well. So let's move on to the FA Cup. Well, it's likely we're going to get relegated, but there was a team not very long ago from the Midlands that won a pot and got relegated. It was the League Cup. Birmingham went down and won the League Cup. We got through Shrewsbury. We got Grimsby away in the next round in the last 32, who, by the way, obviously beat Manchester United. Why not have a cup run? Why not have a cup run? I think Rob's taking it fairly seriously, Jack. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I agree. I think as much as anything, it's confidence, it's form. It's an opportunity to kind of keep building those winning feelings. I mean, if we're being, again, I'm just trying to do the maths in my head as I'm talking. I think we've only won 5 games all season. We've won a couple of cup games and then one league game. So going to Grimsby away in the cup, it's not going to be easy, of course it's not, but it's an opportunity to put another win on the board, isn't it, and get into the next round. And all of a sudden it opens up, perhaps you get another winnable-ish game, and then a couple of the big teams draw each other, and then all of a sudden you don't quite know where it's going to lead you to. But yeah, I mean, I've always been a big fan of the FA Cup. It's one of the sort of the things that kind of connects us to the past, isn't it? Football is almost unrecognisable from what it was from when my dad was my age watching it and when my granddad was my age. But the FA Cup is something that stayed really true and to its values and its traditions. And so you watch it and you kind of go, this is what it all is. I mean, we were a bit unlucky in the way that we were playing the same time as the Macclesfield Palace game, and we didn't get to see that live. But what an occasion that looked like it was going to be, and things like that. And so, you've got to kind of embrace what the FA Cup is, embrace the tradition, the heritage, accept that, everyone who's watching that game that isn't us wants Grimsby to win. And you've got to accept that and embrace that and go, do you know what? We're going to be the party poopers today. We're going to be really solid. We're going to defend what they're going to throw at us. It's going to be a real big occasion for them. The pitch is really tight, isn't it? I mean, we used to play them in the league all the time when I was sort of started getting to football in the 90s and naughty, So it's one of those fixtures that we haven't perhaps had for a while. So yeah, it's something to really look forward to. And I think you have to kind of do that. I get really, really annoyed when I hear the Guardiolas and the, distraction, too many fixtures, don't it? It's the FA Cup. You've got to really embrace it and enjoy it and take it for what it is and be really positive about it and enjoy, being part of a fantastic competition. And like we said, go there and try and get that extra win and get us into the next round and see what happens from there. Absolutely.
Your thoughts on the draw of Grimsby? By the way, interesting stat. Obviously, it's a bit of a strange thing because obviously Macclesfield knocked Crystal Palace out of the FA Cup, who were the holders, and Crystal Palace, when they were a non-league side back in 1900s, knocked the holders out of the FA Cup as well when they were a non-league side. Another interesting one. Obviously, Wolves have drawn Grimsby at Blundell Park, which has got about a capacity of about 10,000. So I don't even know if we'll be able to even get a ticket to go. Stradley, love to go there. But they knocked Manchester United out of the League Cup earlier in the season. And Old Trafford's biggest ever gate of all time is not a Man United game. It's Grimsby versus Wolves in an FA Cup semi-final or something like that. And it's weird how these things pan out. I think everyone's quite excited about the Grimsby game as well. As I say, it'll be on telly. Like what you say, everyone will be sort of hoping that lightning strikes twice. I think hopefully Wolves will have seen what's happened to United, and these things can have to take it seriously, be professional. They're going to be well up for it. Another shock. It's going to bring in a load of money for them, which is great for Grimsby because not long ago they were down in the conference and they're working their way back up. Jason, how much are you looking forward to this? And why not go for the FA Cup? If we're going to struggle to stay in the Premier League. We all know that we're pretty much going to go down. But let's have a bit of joy. Let's go as far as we can. Why not?
Well, I think if you look at obviously the Shrewsbury game, it gave a lot of players a lot of confidence, which is so important. On top of that, Rob Edwards isn't going to be looking at the FA Cup as a distraction. Rob Edwards is going to be looking at that, especially when you play teams like Grimsby. I'm not saying it's going to be an easy game, but we are going to be the favourites, and it's important that we keep that momentum going, especially being unbeaten and, maybe score a few goals. And I think it's just also good for confidence. So however far we get, Rob Edwards is going to be taking it seriously. Like I said, he's not going to see it as a distraction. Maybe if we was within a fighting chance of stopping up in the Premier League, let's say we're on about 16, 18 points now or so, it could be different. You could be then looking at it as a bit of a distraction, but it certainly isn't. So it would be nice to see how far we can go in the competition. On the basis, we've got Shrewsbury, then Grimsby. We could be one of them lucky teams that gets a really good run up till the quarter semi-finals and then starts meeting some big boys. Wouldn't that be great? But listen, let's enjoy it for what it is right now. Once again, it's going to be a tough game. You can only beat what's in front of you, but it's going to be a tough game. Grimsby are going to be well up for it, and good point really there that by Jack that they're going to be looking at, fans. The neutral fan is going to be looking at this, wanting and hoping that Grimsby win.
Absolutely, and the thing is, if we do get through that tie, and Wolves will be massive fan. Let's face it, they're League Two side. Wolves, even though we've struggled this season, but we have started to hit a bit of form as well. Wolves should win that tie. We should, but football's a funny old game. But then you're into the last 16, and if you get a favourable draw or a home draw and what have you, you're back into the quarterfinals. Well, sometimes things can open up for you, even in the worst possible year. Something magical might yet come out of it. The highest point so far, hasn't it? The one bright spot that's come out of the season so far is young Matthias Mane, who's got his chance to come into this team, and Rob's having the faith through him. And, seeing him play as a young lad, he's playing like he's, down the park with his mates and shooting from everywhere. And he's a super talented player. And that's one positive that's come out of it. We can have a cup run as well for my dad. God bless him. Everyone who watches the channel knows how much it means to my dad to try and get to a Wembley final with me. I dream of it every year. It would just be everything. And for so many, and like you look at the Crystal Palace fans last year, first trophy they ever won. There's a lot of teams out there like your so-called Big Six. They take these for granted, these things for granted. We wouldn't. We would love it it would live with us forever. I can just see the front page of the Express and Star now going, it's ours yet again. So, that'd be lovely, wouldn't it? But we can dream. But we're a very long way from that. But yeah, we're waiting, of course, to hear from the club on the allocation of tickets. But it is a small thing, so those that go there will do us proud, whatever, won't they? So guys, we're coming on to just on an hour. I said I wanted to keep it an hour tonight because obviously it's a wedding anniversary and everything, and I didn't want to keep it nice and short. So if you've got any questions for Jack or Jason and myself or for the panel, drop them down in there and we'll answer those as quick as possible. Well, whilst I'm doing that, the next game up, Jason, is Manchester City away. They've hit a little bit of a tricky fit. I think they've just signed Gay from Crystal Palace. Any thoughts on that game?
Yeah, listen, there's never, ever going to be a good time to play Manchester City because they are an unbelievable team. Yeah, they lost to Man United with their new manager bounce with Michael Carrick, but it's going to be a really tough game. Am I expecting us to get anything from it? No. But what I am expecting is a performance, a fight. If we lose, hopefully it'll be by a small margin. And we've just got to take the positives out of it. I can't see anyone really giving us a thrashing this season. Now, Rob has seemed to install, obviously, confidence in them. And like I said, some definite organisation. So it's going to be a tough game. I don't think we're going to get 3 points at all. But if look, like I said, we was happy with the point against Newcastle. If we could get a point against City, that'd be fantastic. But as long as it's small margins in the game and we're competing all the way through, I think that's all we can ask for at this stage.
Fair play, Jack.
No, I completely agree. I think particularly when you go away to a Man City or an Arsenal or a Liverpool, as a fan, you kind of say, right, there's every chance they're going to beat us today because they're better and they're going to be with the investment they've got. But make them earn it. Don't give it to them by being passive and sitting off and going, I can't believe I'm sharing a pitch with Haaland. Or make them earn it. Go there, be compact, be solid, be organised, be brave, be proud, and go, do you know what? If you're better than us on the day, that's fine. I can take that all day long. But we ain't giving it to you today. You're going to have to earn it if you want to beat us. And if you do that, sometimes they just might not be on it and you might nick something.
Well, yeah, as an example, do you remember a few seasons back when I think it was Sarr in the tunnel and he went to Haaland or went to Man City, go easy on us today or something? Do you remember when he was in the tunnel and he that quite defeatist approach? Can you imagine Mane doing that? Of course he wouldn't. Mane goes out there and plays every game like he's going to score a goal. He's that high on confidence. He doesn't fear anyone. He's completely fearless. So players like Mane, this is when they're really going to come into their own. I went to Everton away. I went with Dave Jones. Dave got me a lovely corporate ticket. Went with Dave, and it's so insightful when you watch a game with a former manager like Dave, and he was full of praise for Mane. But if you look at that goal for Mane, bearing in mind as well the intelligent pass from Strand Larsen,
It was, yeah.
Put the ball through, great ball, but what a finish! You know,
His first touch, Mane's first touch as well, mate.
But he's just, like I said, he's fearless. He's playing with complete confidence. He's, you know, playing on pure adrenaline. Bless him. He's a real good talent, and he's showing it.
Absolutely, and he'll be, and that's the joy of youth. No fear. That's our strap line for this year,
Absolutely.
by the way. He'll lap that up. Right, we're going on to some Q&As. Go with you first, Jack. What we had for tea tonight?
What I had some chicken and some pasta. So some nice healthy carbs there. Yeah.
Cooking the pasta, Jason.
Well, we go on holiday to Mexico in 10 days' time, so my missus has got me on yet another diet. So I had chicken and these boiled potatoes. I've got to say, it was very nice. Did it fill me up? No. I'm looking at the biscuit tin, but there is no way I can go in there.
Absolutely. Well, I had homemade cottage pie made by Emma and which was nice. Absolutely beautiful. Beautiful it was. And we went out on Friday. We had a day out on Friday because we knew we were going to have to be in on Monday on our anniversary, and we went out for the day. We did a VR thing. We did Squid Games, which she beat me over in Birmingham. She absolutely thrashed me really at the Squid Games, but that was a fantastic, the VR. And then we went into what's it, Arnie Slots? Not Arnie Slots.
Albert Slots.
Albert Slots. Arnie Slots. He might be starting. Yeah, he might be starting there.
I'm not going to let you live that down. Dave, you do know someone's going to clip that now.
No, yeah, probably. Yeah, that was just, we went to Albert's, yeah, the Sloths. And we had a really nice meal there. That was really good footy. There's a live band and everything. So that was quite funny. I do make myself laugh sometimes. We've got a question. Phil Coyne has said, Dave, talking about the run about Bilston Town in the 5th round of the FA Vars. My nephew, Harry Dixon, plays for Bilston Town. My nephew plays, and my granddad, back in the day, used to play for Bilston Town. So my nephew, Harry Dixon, if you go down to Bilston, Harry Dixon, he's playing for Bilston Town, and he's doing it. He's a young lad. He's a good little footballer. But yeah, Bilston Town having a great run in the FA Vars. Man City. Question. Appointing random captain. Someone has said, if we, Carl says, if we beat, if we beat Man City, here we go. If we beat Man City and we do get the 3 points, can we stay up?
I just think it gives. I don't think we're going to beat Man City, but even if we did, like I said, all we want to do is go down fighting. And whether we beat Man City, whether we beat Brentford, whether we beat, Burnley, I think it's all going to be too little, too late. It's going to take an incredible run. Man City will just give us a bit more false hope. It'd be great to beat Man City because these are the days we remember. We remember beating the Arsenals and Man U's and Liverpool's at Molineux. So if we can beat Man City, brilliant. One game I do remember, and I'm sure we all do, I went to Man City away, obviously, when Traore scored them 2 goals. What a day that was. But listen, it's not going to make the season, but it will give us a great day.
Absolutely. I think it will. What about you?
What's that? If we can stay, and I think like Jason said, I think we're probably too little, too late. But I think just on kind of what we were talking about there, I think realistically we should be saying, right, can we avoid finishing bottom? Because if you look at it and go, well, we're on 2 points from 18 games. If we can overhaul Burnley or West Ham, I think that's quite a turnaround from where we were.
Our mini league, yeah?
Yeah.
And look at
I think that could be something where you're kind of going, do you know what? We've stumped the league out for the first half of the year, but if we could put enough points on the board between now and then to actually catch somebody up.
You know what? when you put it like that, I would be absolutely delighted if we finished 19th this season, and I'd be over the moon if we finished 18th.
But it just shows, doesn't it, kind of how low our expectations have gone.
Yeah.
But also kind of exactly what you were saying earlier. If we can go down with a bit of fight and put some wins on the board and give a few people some bloody noses along the way, what a difference that will make to everyone's, belief going into next year. Because that's kind of what's going to be absolutely critical, is that we're not going down with a whimper and everyone's really, really, petrified and trepidation for the championship. We've got to kind of go with our shoulders back and kind of go, do you know what?
Yeah.
It's been a punch on the chin, this relegation, but we're Wolverhampton Wanderers. We're going to bounce back. We're going to be absolutely fine. And that's kind of what we've got to kind of do.
Like you said earlier, Jack, we need to go into next season and play out the rest of this season with momentum, with confidence, keep this run of form going. Look, we're not going to win all the games. We're probably going to lose more than we win. We know that because of this team and the league that we're in. But if we get on with a fight, and you know what? That's all really, I think a lot of the fan base, that's all they really cared about. Just at least putting some pride back into the performances.
100% right. I mean, there's a lot of people yesterday were sitting around me and talking to me, was saying like, we're looking like a team. We look fitter. We look like we've got more energy. We look more structured, and they're fighting harder. And like, as Wolves fans, the fans will give the players stick if they're not seeing at least that effort and that fight. But you can see both the away fans and the home fans, at the end, they're showing the appreciation because they can see that they're fighting. And even if you're losing and you're still fighting, then and you're putting blood and sweat for the shirt, they'll forgive anything.
Absolutely. Do you know what? I've still seen some supporters today really going in on Edwards on social media, really battering him, his shit and all this. And I just don't get it because, if you think about the turnaround that we've had, look, when he took over, we was well adrift, as we still are. We had zero confidence. We wasn't winning anything. We was on 2 points. And now, all of a sudden, there has been such a change, and we've all seen it. And, it took a few games, but now they're playing into his mentality, the way he wants to play. The performances have been a lot better. Like I said, there's a lot more structure. But more importantly, there's the confidence, and these players once again believe in their own ability, and I think that's so important. So how anybody can criticise Edwards right now is absolutely beyond me, because a few people going, "Oh, where was the new manager bounce?" That doesn't work for every club. You can't be bottom of the league and go, "Let's just bring the manager in and we're going to win 3 on the run," because if that was the case, every team that was
confidence was shot. The confidence was shot, and you have to build them up, and now they're starting to believe, and they're starting to be braver as well. And they're not, and also at home, especially, they're not being frightened to make a pass.
No, they're not.
Because the crowd are starting to support them and get behind them and encourage them. Because
I thought the crowd was really good yesterday.
Yeah.
Considering the weather and everything and what we've kind of endured this season, I thought the crowd were really good. I just quickly on what you were saying there, Dave, about us being fitter. I think it's because we're more organised. I think players aren't constantly out of position or being run ragged because they're covering somebody else. I think they're just keeping their position, and that's keeping their fitness levels so that we go in a lot deeper into games. I think yes, there might have been an improvement in fitness, but I think that comes mainly from that structure.
And how many games did we lose? Have we lost so late on this year as well? So many we've lost or conceded a goal and lost points.
And what is important to look at, and like I said to you before about the small margins, look, we're not getting thrashed 4-5-0. That it has been close. It could have gone either way in some of these matches. I mean, and this is what's like about the Newcastle game yesterday. Our possession percentage was 33%, as opposed to Newcastle's 67%. So we had to do a lot of work off the ball and out of possession, and we still managed to get a point against a good team. So we've got to take a lot of credit for that. That is a game yesterday we could have easily lost. I know people were going we could have won it, but equally we could have easily lost it.
No, exactly right. And so, look, we've 5 unbeaten this season. They'll go into Man City. Obviously, they're going to be massive favourites, but you never know, do you? That I think they're going into games now believing they can get something rather than before they were just heads were going and thinking we're not going to win, and we're all going in that way. It was just waiting for it to happen. Now we're waiting for things to happen for a different reason. We're just going to finish the show. I've got young Scott that's waited patiently in the background, so give him a couple of minutes, and then we'll finish off the show. Scott, anything you want to say quickly?
Yeah, just nice and quick today. I think that's just a quick one. 90 minutes of my life I'm unfortunately never going to get back. But it wasn't. There weren't much to highlight. If you read the match reaction I actually did, I actually put there was nothing really. Mane disappeared. Everyone disappeared apart from Sarr. Really, who kept us in the game, but near the very end, there was no quality in that Newcastle game.
Okay, well, thanks, Scott, for finishing off on a high. That's great. Appreciate it.
Always.
And whilst you're on, you have, just drag us right down, Scott, after that, and we're just trying to be,
Really appreciate that, Scott. Thanks, mate.
Yeah, we'll just go and jump off something.
No,
Scott, no, we're only laughing, mate.
Everyone is entitled to their opinions, and that is 30 seconds of my life I'm not going to get back.
Absolutely.
And if I'm joking, Scott, I'm joking.
Scott,
everyone's entitled to their opinions.
People are reckoning you're out the traitors.
You know what? You know what? If it was on the traitors, I would have stolen that fringe from that deer that Claudia has in that castle. Because I love Claudia's fringe, honestly. But no, I've not got, as you can tell, I've not got the fringe, so I've not been there, sadly.
I'll tell you what, definitely a faithful.
Yeah, you asked the question earlier, Scott, about if we beat Manchester City, can we stay up? Why don't you answer your own question?
Good question, actually. The reason I put it is because I personally believe if we beat City, who's going to stop us? Because yes, City are not in the best form, but at the end of the day, they won 4 Premier League titles in a row. They are numerous for winning titles and winning anything, really. That may be referee decisions, that may be pure Man City cheating 115 charges, but at the end of the day, they're still winning titles. So yes, I think if we do, we will stay up.
Fantastic. Right. Well, brilliant. Thanks for coming on, Scott. I know you waited really patiently there. So
before I go, Dave, just before I go, I didn't clip anything, by the way.
No, mate. Listen, you'll be getting clipped, I think. Scott.
round the ear by Dave.
Scott, seriously, your
well done,
score
Scott. Well
City,
done, mate.
Then. Your score prediction
well done.
for City.
I just want to say to Scott, I thought you put across his thoughts very well then. And like I said, we all see the game differently, and no one's right and wrong. And,
absolutely right.
So well
we can
done,
see
Scott.
you now.
Come across very well, young man.
You waited ever so patiently. What's your score prediction for City then, Scott?
Oh well, I'm gonna go with it. Wolves 1, Manchester City 0.
Wolves 1, Manchester. I like it.
Why not?
So you are leaving us with a positive.
Yeah, and just for anyone, if anyone ever wants to know how I felt after the game, go to alwayswolvesfan.co.uk and you'll find my match reaction lingering somewhere there.
Yes, he does, because Scott's one of our columnists. He always writes a match reaction. Very, very well done as well, Scott.
I'll have a read of that.
What you write as well. So you check out that after the match reaction as well with your written thoughts over on alwayswolves.co.uk. Once again, thank you ever so much for Creation War for powering tonight's show. Big thank you for Emma for letting me do the show on our wedding anniversary. So much appreciated as well to her. Jack.
Round now, Dave. Anyway, enjoy.
Yeah, no. Jack, I just want to seriously say, mate, it's so good to see you looking so well, because I know you've been through so much. And I'm really pleased that cancer scare's got through and you've dealt with it and you're coming out the other side. So lots of people have been, worried about you. So I'm sure everyone's really great to see you tonight as well. And Jason, thank you as always for coming on and putting a smile on our face as well. And definitely enjoy Mexico, because you've earned it.
Oh, I cannot wait. Oh, and if anyone's listening, actually, I did put this post out on Twitter. If anybody has got a Wolves Mexico, remember the Adidas green Mexico shirt? If anyone's got one in double XL for my wife, no, not really for me. If anyone's got one, she didn't hear, did she? If anyone's got one in double XL, if I can buy it off them, great. If they want to lend it me for the holiday, great. But yeah, I want a Wolves Mexico shirt in double XL. If anyone's got one.
Can you not buy them still off Tinternet?
I haven't seen any. I'll keep looking, and I haven't seen any. So not in my size anyway. I don't really want to put a medium on and show off all my biceps and my six pack and my pecs. I just want it to be baggy, a bit casual, to cover my big fat beer belly.
Well, I've got one, but it's not that. Unfortunately, it's not a double XL, Jason.
What you trying to say, Dave?
It's not a double XL, but someone will have one, and I definitely think you'll be able to get one online. But yeah, I can see why you want to take that one out.
Well,
Rebecca says there might be some unvinted.
Good call, Rebecca. If you can buy me one, that'd be lovely. Thank you. Now I'll have a look on vinted. Thanks, Rebecca.
Brilliant. We will be back.
I don't want a fake one, guys. Get me a fake one, as long as it's got Adidas on and not flipping Bladidas.
Well, everyone, if everyone finds a double XL Mexico Wolves shirt, get in touch with Lord Jason on Twitter X and drop him a message. Jack, God bless you, mate. Scott, thank you for popping on with your views as well, mate.
Good comment.
Keep up the good work. Good. And we'll see you on the next one. I'm going to go and have a nice cup of tea now. But thanks ever so much for joining us tonight. You'll be able to watch this back on catch up. It'll be out on the podcast in the morning. And we've got loads of content coming up all this week. So make sure you do hit the like, subscribe, and leave your thoughts in the comment. Until the next one.
All I've got to say is, if you're watching on catch up, it will be an hour of your life you're not going to get back.
An hour and 16. God bless you all.
Oh, wow.
Always Wolves.
Always Wolves.
Always Wolves.
Always Wolves.